Tired of bloating, fatigue and sluggish digestion? Meet your gut's new best friend, NutriHealth 365's microbiome supplement. Restore balance, boost immunity, and feel amazing from the inside out. Smart delay release capsules. Real results. Gut health just got personal.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday's episode of Trending. I'm going to cover two stories today, both from the UK. One, we're going to talk about a guy from Wales who's just been sentenced to 20 months imprisonment for tweets. And then we're also going to look at the fact that the UK has just designated another £10 million of taxpayers' money to Ukrainian energy infrastructure while they're blowing up ours. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Trending. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Okay, we're going to start off in South Wales. This is the headline in Wales Online, but this is a story that's been covered all over the UK media, and it's been spoken about a lot on social media for the last couple of days. Twisted Welsh loner was able to spread horrific hatred around the world after going full Nazi. Okay, full Nazi. So, assuming he invaded Poland then, from his bedroom in Aberdare, South Wales? Or did he join the Azov battalion of the Ukrainian army? They'd love him if he had. Okay, a 24-year-old white supremacist with a big social media following has been jailed for 20 months over a torrent of racial hatred. Okay, well, a torrent of racial hatred is Wales Online speak for 9 unpleasant tweets. Now, you don't need to like what someone says online. I see plenty of stuff I don't like. A lot of it's aimed at me, be honest, but it's still a tweet. David Morgan from Aberdare in South Wales has 127,000 followers on X, formerly known as Twitter, if you didn't realise. They have to keep telling you that, don't they? His account is titled... It's got a Welsh flag and then the words David Morgan, #stay free. Morgan advanced conspiracy theories that Jews are responsible for global economic instability and New York's 9/11 terrorism attack. He also blamed black people for the rising crime rates and claimed white people are being eradicated. Well, all right, white people are becoming a minority within many cities in the United Kingdom, and obviously failing sperm counts, falling birth rates, and also mass unfiltered immigration, you know, is going to make that continue, isn't it? So he's right on that front. It's also a one-way street. I don't know if anyone's noticed that in terms of mass immigration. It's always people coming to the West. There's no one going out, not on, en masse. I don't think Nigeria are worried about, thousands of people from Burnley storming the border. He's also entitled to his opinion, surely. And on the subject of 9/11, let's have it right. Anyone with eyes to see knows that Mossad was clearly involved with that. You had the dancing Israelis that were there to document the event. How do you know it was going to happen then, bruv? You had the art students, the Israeli art students with access to the Twin Towers. Obviously, you had lucky Larry Silverstein buying the towers, being offered the towers not long before, then doubling the insurance to include terrorism, and then not turning up for work that day like he normally did. Now, having said that, that isn't the Jews. And this is a point that I try and make all the time. Like, it's not the Muslims, it's not the Jew, it's not the anything. You have all these essentially minions that are serving this cult, and they come from all demographics, because all demographics have good, bad, and he's right. This is a real issue that we have in terms of blaming one particular demographic. Oh, it's the Catholics, or it's the... No, not every Catholic priest is a paedophile. Like, can we stop generalising? But also, having said that, like, I believe Mossad was massively involved in the 9/11 terrorism attacks. I believe that the CIA were involved. I believe multiple intelligence agencies from all over the world were involved, because ultimately they answer to the same people anyway. It's a pyramid scheme. Now, I don't believe it's the Jews. I don't believe it's the Muslims, or it's, the Islamic terrorists or whoever's being blamed this week en masse. But I do believe that if you want to claim to live in a free society, he's entitled to have that view, whether you disagree with it or not. He's entitled to have that view. You don't have to like it. Morgan was reported to police by Caroline Ost, a Jewish user of X, who said she'd become aware of Morgan after his online activity won growing praise from another Jew hater on the social media platform. Well, I mean, Jew hater used to mean something. It doesn't anymore. And of course, yes, they exist. You know, there are people out there that hate Jewish people just because they're Jewish, not because anything they've done or said or whatever. But when you claim anyone that criticizes Israel is a Jew hater, which they do, and you claim anyone that criticizes Israel is an anti-Semite, then Jew hater and anti-Semite, they lose their meaning. Especially when you claim that Jewish people are Jew haters and anti-Semites, which happens all the time, if they dare to call out the state of Israel, the terrorist state of Israel. They get called self-hating Jews. Honestly, mate, it's mad. They've lost their minds. And I don't know if you saw this. You know, you've got this woman called Miss Rachel. Now, I don't watch Miss Rachel because, I mean, I'm not a toddler, for one, but also my kids are, you know, older, slightly older than that age that would watch her. But she's basically a woman that wears dungarees and a bright coloured T-shirt and does, you know, shows for toddlers, basically on YouTube. Massive account. Now, she speaks up for Palestinian kids. She obviously loves kids. It's why she started a channel. And she's been called an anti-Semite and all this kind of stuff because you know, you can't question the end of level boss. They can do whatever they like. So she, having been called an anti-Semite and obviously being probably, you know, upset by that. It's not a very nice thing to be called. Like I say, it's losing its bloody meaning, but at the same time, it's not a nice thing to be called, especially if you're not one and therefore don't wear it as a badge of honor. So she tweeted that not wanting Palestinian kids to die doesn't make you an anti-Semite, which it doesn't. Well, can't be saying that, mate. So Eve Barlow's, this big, massive, prominent account, has claimed that's blood libel. What? So it's blood libel to say that it's not anti-Semitic to not want kids to die. Like I say, they've lost their mind. Now, I'll carry on with the story. I went off like a fly in a greenhouse then. I'll do that. At that time, so this is the lady that's reported him to the police, because that's what you do when you see tweets you don't like. You go straight to the police, apparently. At that time, Morgan's post consisted of anti-vax and 5G conspiracy theories with a smattering of racism. Just a smattering, like it's, do you know what I mean? Food Network, just a smattering of racism. So I ignored it as the nonsense it was, she told the court. Well, he's right about the vaccine, though, wasn't he? It's another way, of course, of connecting conspiracy theories to hate, because they always do that. These anti-vaxxers, they're so full of hate. Well, in my experience of anti-vaxxers, it's the exact opposite. They might hate the manufacturers and hate the harms and death that they're causing, but actually, they're pretty loving people, which is why they care. But they link it to hate, and eventually they'll link it to domestic terrorism. And in fact, they've already done that, and they've already done that in the United States. So that's something which will tie into other legislation they're bringing in, which I'll come to in a bit. Because this is one guy in Wales, but it's bigger than this guy, right? You don't need to like this guy. You don't need to like what he says. You know, like I said, I don't agree it's the Jews. I don't. And I get pelters for that as well, which is funny because I get called, anti-Semite for calling out Israel, but then I get called like a Zionist puppet for saying I don't believe it's all Jews. But there you go. You can't win. Nor should you try to be honest. Who cares? I've got a coffee. I'm on it today, aren't I, ladies and gentlemen? I'm taking loads of sips of that. Sorry, mate. Late night, Iconic Live, that's why. So blame Liverpool. Morgan was sentenced by the same judge. Now, this is why I say it's bigger than one guy in Wales that tweeted a bunch of stuff that you might not like. And I've seen some of the tweets, and they're not pleasant. Now, I'm a free speech absolutist, but there are stuff I'm looking at, I'm going, mate, like, okay. I don't have to like it. But it's still a tweet. It's still a tweet. And you got 20 months imprisonment for 9 tweets. They're tweets. Now, Morgan was sentenced by the same judge that spared a rapist jail time because the prisons were overcrowded. And as I understand it, from a couple of people I've seen talking about it online, like the Unity News Network for one, it wasn't just a rapist, as if that's not bad enough, but a child rapist. So, okay, I've got a child rapist here. Yeah, guilty. Done. Found him guilty. Convicted. Right. What do you want to do with him? Well, I can't put him in prison. It's too busy. Oh, okay. Never mind then. Don't worry about it. What about this guy, though? Why, what did he do? He posted some horrible stuff on Twitter. We'll send him to prison. There's room for him, not for the rapist. He might tweet again, mightn't he? Whereas this one, he might only rape again. Nah, it's not the same, is it? No, not in Britain, not anymore. Do you remember BBC TV presenter Hugh Edwards? He was convicted on child porn offences. Do you know how long he got in prison? Nada. Nothing. Not even 20 weeks. Not even 20 hours. Unbelievable, isn't it? I bet David Morgan sat there now in prison thinking, oh, mate, I tweeted some pretty abhorrent, pretty nasty tweets. If only I'd done some child porn offences, I wouldn't be here now. I'd be free. Oh, must be kicking himself. Hamoud al-Samai, I'm probably saying that wrong, but I don't really care, was convicted of raping a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old. How much jail time did he get, do you reckon? Yeah, that's right. Nada. So now, do you know what I mean? Morgan's sat in his jail cell thinking, oh, mate, if I'd done some child porn, I'd be free. If I'd raped 2 kids, I'd be free. But silly me, I posted some tweets that people found offensive. Now, all this is happening at the same time, and it's not by accident, because nothing is, that they're doing away with, or attempting to do away with, jury trials. Now, if you've seen the language of this over the last week or so, David Lammy, the 10-watt light bulb, the ignoramus that is saying, we're doing this. And what that does is that creates a certainty, an apathy from the population of, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. They've said they're doing it. It's got to pass. It's got to pass legislation. You can't just do it. Jury trials, being judged by a jury of your peers is something that is enshrined in our constitution. It's enshrined in Great British law. Just because David Lammy, the moron of all morons, can sit there and go, we're doing this. It's not how it works, mate. They want to, though. And what they're using as an excuse is this huge backlog. We've got this massive backlog of trials, of Crown Court trials, where basically, there's rapists out there and their victims have got to wait for months and months and months and months to try and get justice. Well, spoiler alert, judging by this, I'm not sure you're going to get justice anyway, mate. Because that 12-year-old and that 13-year-old, their rapist went to court and got found guilty. And what happened to him? Bugger all, mate. But while they're saying, oh, yeah, we need to do this, we need to do that, to bring down this backlog of cases and getting rid of juries, we'll do that. 3% of the backlog are trials that would require a jury as it stands. It's a scam, mate. They're using a problem that doesn't exist as an excuse to bring in something that you don't want, because that's what they do. So then the state can imprison you for words, and as I keep reiterating, you don't have to agree with what David Morgan has said. You don't have to. You can find it abhorrent. You can find it racist. You can find it Jew hatred. You can find it idiotic. You can find it what you want. But it's still just a post on social media. Now, if he's going onto social media and saying, look, this guy needs killing, this is his address, this is where he works, this is what he's done, go and get him. Well, whilst the people that would act on that are actually, do you know what I mean? They have free will. there is another conversation about, well, hang on a minute, you've doxed someone's address, you've incited people to go and kill. But there's laws against that. Anyway, this is just some horrible posts that you might not like. It's mad. So the state can imprison you for words. Like I say, you don't need to like them. You can be imprisoned for words, and you don't get to be put in front of your peers. The state gets to be the judge and jury. So you can arrest someone for saying something, and what would normally happen, I would imagine, in a sane world is, well, in a sane world, you wouldn't arrest them for words, but whatever. So you arrest someone for words, you put them in a court, and they will end up in front of a jury of their peers, which are just regular people that will sit there and go, I mean, it's a pretty dickish thing to say, and I don't like it, but I'm going to send a dude to prison for words. That's madness. Whereas the state will go, yes, mate, lock him up, 20 months. And that's what they want for all of it. And I'm using him as an example because it's something that's happened in the last couple of days. But, you know, we've got police turning up at people's houses. I think it was 9 police officers turned up at a woman's house while she's in the bath because she used the word faggot in a WhatsApp conversation. Who the person is at the other end that's reported that to the police, Jesus wept. Have a look in the mirror, mate. But either way, that being reported to and what are the police doing? I've got a report here. What's it say? Oh, someone said faggot in a WhatsApp message. I'm not investigating that, am I? I've got rapists to catch. I've got robbers to catch. I've got murderers to catch. No, I've heard she's in the bath. Right, we'll all go now. Go on, lads. Honestly, people are going to prison for words. I mean, she didn't go to prison in the end, that lady that was, you know, sent a message, but others have been, and it's been massively high profile. We know about it. We had a guy going to prison for his record collection. Honestly, it's mad. And I will say to people that are, you know, apathetic towards this, that look at it and go, well, shouldn't have said it. That will teach him. That was hate-filled. And I don't know this guy, so I don't know where he came from in terms of what he's saying. I mean, he's right about the vaccine for one. And in terms of questioning 9/11 and the fact that it wasn't some hijackers with bolt cutters or whatever, yeah, he's right to do that. I don't believe it's the Jews in the same way that I don't believe that Islam is the thing that's going to wreck the world or whatever. Do you know what I mean? There's good and bad and indifferent in every single demographic. And we used to know that. But, you know, if you are looking at it and saying, well, so what? So what? Horrible things to say. Shouldn't have said it. That will serve him right. Actions have consequences. Okay. Well, and this goes to the lady, I suppose, that's reported him to the police, because that's mad. Sees a tweet they don't like and phones the police. How sheltered must your life be to go, oh my God, I've seen a tweet, I better phone the police? Unbelievable. But if you are celebrating it, or if you are indeed that person, be careful what you wish to set a precedent for. Because I've said this so many times. No one agrees with the state on everything. No one is in alignment on everything. So and bearing in mind, the goalposts change constantly. So what is hate speech in the future is that might just be a normal conversation today. So you can look at what he said and go, oh yeah, that's abhorrent. Okay, fine. You can find it abhorrent. That's your right to do so. But at the same time, if you're normalizing prison sentences for posting tweets, what's to say that's not going to be used against you in the future? And in fact, I would categorically say it will be. And you'll find yourself saying something that is, like I say, was deemed normal. It was normal for women not to have penises 10 minutes ago. Now it's a bigoted view. So the goalposts change and they become more insane. And we're in an insane country with an insanely authoritarian government that's putting people in prison for tweets, that is trying to pass digital ID legislation that no one wants, that's trying to go to Russia when no one wants it, that is handing over money to Ukraine that no one wants them to do because we're already struggling ourselves. They want to do away with jury trials when no one wants that. So you've already got that situation now. And it will be used against you because that's what they do. They set a precedent. And you'll be there going, oh, mate, how did this happen? Well, you kind of assisted it, mate, by either pushing it or being meh about it. This is the thing. Like, I don't agree with things that people say, but that's the saying. I don't have to agree with everything you say. I can strongly dislike what you say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it, because that's the point. That's what freedom is. That's what this nation is supposed to be. And this is coming from someone that gets all kinds of abuse and have done for a very long time. You know, there's people out there on the internet saying, like, we're all bloody Freemasons and transgender, and my kids came from the state because I'm an invert. I'm not a bloke. And to be honest, do you know what I mean? It is cold at the moment. I feel a bit like it at times. But you get my point. You know, that the Ike family they're all Satanists. And I'm looking at that. I get people share screenshots and send them to me. And it annoys me. Of course it does, because it's what? Am I on the phone to the police? Obviously not, because I'm not a mentalist. I also don't want to set a precedent for people going to prison for saying words, although, you know, we've crossed that Rubicon now, haven't we? And another thing, now you might find this way out there, but do you know what I mean? I'll put my tinfoil hat on. I'm an Ike. If anyone can say stuff that's out there, I suppose it's me. But all this stuff is coming in at the same time. So your digital ID is trying to be introduced at the same time, which will tie into your social media, which will connect to your social credit score, all this stuff they want to bring in. So they will know who's tweeting stuff and who's posting stuff. Like, there will be no privacy. There'll be no anonymity. That's the whole thing, isn't it, of the World Economic Forum. You'll have no privacy. You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. I'm not sure I'll be happy. You know, unless I'm fluorided off my face and I don't even care anymore. But so they will know everything that everyone's saying at any point. They're already passing legislation within the European Union where they can read your private messages and your text messages and all that kind of stuff. So they will know what you're saying. And it won't be long until they know what you're thinking. And then they can use that against you. And all that is going on at the same time as they're passing things like the assisted dying bill, which starts off, as all these things do, as we're just full of empathy. People are dying in agony, terminally ill, they're dying in agony. It's just to help them. Yeah, and just like it did in Holland, and just like it did in Canada, then it goes to people that aren't terminally ill but are in a lot of pain. Then it goes from that to, well, they're not in physical pain, but they're in mental pain. And therefore, you know, we have to let them go. Mental health problems. Okay, well, what if conspiracy theories are considered to be a mental health problem? Then what? And it goes in front of a judge, a state judge. And suddenly you get to a point where you can essentially kill dissidents. No, they're insane. Arrest them, whack them in a mental institution, chuck them full of drugs. Yeah, sorry, they're so insane. And it's the only humane thing to do. And like I say, that will sound mad, but does it really? Is it as mad as going to prison for 20 months for saying some horrible things when there's rapists and child rapists walking around your town? Not just like not being caught, but convicted and then not imprisoned. I don't know about you, but I'd be more concerned about child rapists than I would be about someone tweeting. Now, that might be an old-fashioned look, an old-fashioned view, but guilty. Unbelievable, isn't it? Like, genuinely. And like I say, I keep reiterating it. You don't need to like what people say. I see loads of stuff that I don't like. And it's like, yeah, all right. Like I've said on the show before, when my sister passed away, I was getting torrents of stuff blaming like me and my dad and my family because our views must have led to it and tagging us in it. And did I think about phoning the police for like some targeted harassment? No, I just thought knobhead and got on with my life. But apparently no. What I should have done is phone the police and had them put in prison for words. Because that's what happens in a free society. Anyway, that's all for the social media element of this. If you head over to iconic.com, you can watch the rest for free. The direct URL is in the description below. Okay, and by the way, of course, this is a story from the United Kingdom, but this is something that's expanding. You know, it's expanding across Europe in terms of the censorship on free speech. Like I say, you don't need to like what people are saying. And even in North America, everyone thinks Trump's the freedom guy and all this kind of stuff. Well, you're getting people kicked out of university and jobs and their visas revoked and stuff for stuff they said on social media. Now, if you apply for an ETSA, as I did to go and visit the United States to watch a couple of New York Rangers games, they ask for your social media so they can trawl it. Like, this is a global thing. Anyway, thanks for watching this section, and hopefully I'll see you on iconic.com in a second.